Today's conversation is one that you are absolutely going to feel in your heart. I sat down with Crystal Green, co-founder of Skyrocket Coffee, a company that her and her husband launched not just to bring better tasting coffee to the world, but to serve as a vehicle for healing, for giving back, and for creating real impact. But this episode is about so much more than coffee. Crystal opens up about the battles that she's fought: addiction, identity, deep regret, and the journey of reclaiming herself after decades of feeling not enough. From growing up being labeled as less than because of dyslexia, to overcoming alcohol and prescription drug dependence, to letting go of 100 pounds of literal and emotional weight. Her story is one of breathtaking transformation. This is a conversation about waking up to your life, about doing the hard work to change, and about using every ounce of your pain to create purpose. Get ready. This one is real, it's vulnerable, and it will remind you that nothing about your past disqualifies you from building a powerful future. Let's dive in. I just have to say, I'm going to have to order some. Skyrocket Coffee, you sent me some samples. I freaking love it. You opened this new business 9 months ago. What do you feel is in building this business excites you the most compared to what you were doing prior?
So, as far as Skyrocket Coffee goes, one of the coolest things is just being able to bring something new to the market that hasn't really been here before. So we're using a completely different roasting system. So we have a unique open chamber air roasting system that was actually developed only, I think Julian was saying he developed it during COVID. So this whole new machine and process has not been around long. We are like one of, I think, 13 of these machines in the entire United States.
Wow.
So the process is kind of so being an open chamber air roasting system, you have that awesome air roasting process, which basically circulates the beans or suspends the beans in a hot air bath. And so the beans are cooking through almost like an air fryer type of system. You're not getting that burn taste. And then also there's a extraction hood that is taking off of the smoke and then the seed husk. So as you cook the beans, the seed husk, or they call it chaff, comes off of the bean, and it actually, if you're in that old enclosed system, all of that gets kind of absorbed into your coffee taste, and so you get that bitter taste. With the extraction hood process, it's pulling all of that stuff off of there, so that you're not getting any of that burnt bitter taste that you normally would see in most traditional coffees.
I know the audience doesn't know this, but I know that your background is in dental imaging and things like that. But why coffee?
So coffee was kind of more of a vehicle. So we're here to talk about purpose. So as far as like my purpose in this business is not necessarily because I have some big passion for coffee. I love coffee. I love a consistent cup of coffee, and I love a cup of coffee that just tastes good. And we had a hard time finding that. I'd find a coffee that I loved, and then I'd get it again and it doesn't taste the same. Mm-hmm. Or I'd get a consistent coffee and it just tastes burnt, and like I got to put a bunch of creamer in it to make it even taste good. More of the coffee process that I really enjoy is just being able to use this as a vehicle to give back. So my husband and I are very big in self-development. We're very big readers. So being able to contribute in a way that the coffee allows us to. So we give a portion of proceeds to literacy programs. And then right now we're actually also doing some other fundraising for We're trying to get into schools. So just kind of being able to fundraise and help people is really where the coffee kind of passion or the passion for this business comes into play.
So you're looking at this is, you love coffee, you enjoy coffee, but this is really the vehicle that you can create impact. You're not necessarily passionate about coffee all on its own, but how can I use this vehicle to create a bigger impact in the world? So what led you to discover personal development?
So personal development came about really my questioning of life started happening really big around 2017. I had gotten married in 2016, gone through almost a full year, and I was very much in that, why don't I feel good about this? What's going on here? My husband was drinking a lot. We had gotten to, it had gotten to the point where almost every single day he was drinking, and honestly, I wasn't far behind. So we knew I could see that we were going down a path that just was not good. I started to ask for help. I was asking for help in my circle and parents and friends, and just everybody's like, it's fine. Everybody does it. We're all okay. So nobody wanted to really look at it and say, okay, I see a problem too. So about, it's probably I let it go for another year. And then I read, a friend gave me Girl Wash Your Face. So have you read that book?
I don't think I've finished it. I think I've read parts of it.
Okay. So in this book, basically Rachel Hollis, the one thing that really, really resonated with me is just start somewhere. Start with one thing, just do one thing. And so for me,
let's back up a little bit. So when you're thinking like just do one thing, what was your life like then?
Oh, okay. So my life then was, I was about 100 pounds overweight. I was drinking a lot. We were spending a lot of time at bars. We were, that was pretty much, if we were going to go do something, it was, well, we're probably going to go to a bar and hang out with people who also drink.
What were you doing for work then?
Then I was a dental assistant.
And so not loving that.
No, well, more. So I actually found a pretty good purpose while I was dental assisting. So I was working for like a low income office, and I am very much of like a healer energy. And so I have a lot of compassion, and I have a lot of understanding for anyone in any situation, usually. So I would have these people come into my office that were just scared to death because we were having to take out a bunch of teeth and give them either dental implants, or, they're getting a whole new denture, or, they're going through this very traumatic event that they've already had a lot of trauma behind. And so being able to hold their hand and have them just be like, thank you so much, because if you were not here, I would not be able to get through this. So while I did have a lot that was going for me with that business, I couldn't grow anymore. I was as far as I could. Like I could not go any further where I was at.
And reading the book opened your eyes up to some of the other areas of your life, though, that you felt like this is not how I'm meant to show up.
So it really, it kind of started very, very slow. So with that Girl Wash Your Face, it didn't really tell me I had a bunch of problems I needed to fix. It was more of just like, well, what is pressing right now? And right now was the biggest thing was, well, I've got an extra 100 pounds on me, and this is very hard on my body. I'm watching my parents who are not becoming like, they're getting older, and as they age, their health is just not going well. And so I saw that if I kept going the way that I was going, I was going to end up in the same place that they were at. And I just wanted to be healthy and happy. And so I started with, because she told me to just start one thing. So I started with the diet. I was like, okay, I just need to find a diet that I can do and I can do for a long time. Because I knew that 100 pounds, to get 100 pounds off, is going to take probably a couple years. So I just started, that's where I started. And then after I found the diet that I was going to do, I got the book Atomic Habits. And basically that just reinforced, okay, I need to keep doing this. I need to do it slow, take the baby steps. And then, oh gosh, the next book that came up that same year was from one of my girlfriends who saw that I was struggling in my marriage. And she had read Codependency. I think it's Codependent No More. So she saw that I was very codependent.
That's an interesting situation where a friend is saying, I see this problem in your marriage. Did you feel like you were asking her for that advice or that input? Or do you feel like she came in and helped you see something that you didn't see?
She came in and helped me see something that I had no idea. Until I started reading the book, I was like, oh, yeah. I had no idea I was codependent. But once I read the book, I was like, oh yeah, clearly I'm codependent. But I was at a point where I was just like, you know what? I had asked the universe to help me. And in this, like, that, because of that, Girl Wash Your Face, Atomic Habits, I was like, these things just are like happening when they need to happen. So I'm just going to go with it. So she brought me that book. I read that book in, I think it was like December of 2018. And then her and her husband were coming back for Christmas time, and he had stopped drinking. And so he's like, I'm still going to go to the bar with you guys and hang out. But just so you know, I'm not drinking. We're like, okay, well, don't know what this is about, but well, whatever. And so we were sitting across the bar, and he's telling us the story about how he quit drinking, and he read this book. And he goes, if you would have asked me to stop eating apples so that I could become a pilot, this was his goal. He was trying to be a pilot, and he had some stuff in his past that he had to quit drinking because he was going to have to be tested. So he's like, if someone had told me I had to stop eating an apple so that I could become a pilot, I'd be like, yeah, I can stop eating apples tomorrow. But someone told me I had to stop drinking alcohol to be a pilot, and I had a problem with that. So he recommended the book, This Naked Mind. There we go. By Annie Grace.
So, I've heard of it. I haven't read that one, but I have heard of it.
Okay. So it really, the way that she describes your connection to alcohol from childhood up until the day that you can drink, because we're trained as kids to like look forward to this thing that we get to do when we're 21.
And you watched your parents drink all through your childhood.
Yes. We, my parents were good drinkers. They would have the parties on the weekends, and everyone would, they'd be like, okay, we got 5 minutes to talk about work. And after that, if you talk about work, it's going to be shop time. So it was, a few things were going on there. Like, one, you should probably hate your job. And two, you should drink it away.
Right. And that's exactly what it is. You're conditioned to believe that is a normal life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So seeing someone else break that pattern, did you know right then, I think I want to do the same thing?
Well, because I had was talking to people in 2017, so like a little over a year before this book came at me, I knew that we had a problem. And so as soon as he had mentioned it, and he was like, yeah, I don't want to drink anymore, this book just completely like I just don't want to. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm in. I'm 100% in. So I bought the book the next day.
And was your husband in?
Oh, no. No. He was like, okay, well, yeah, sure, go ahead. I don't have a problem. And so I started reading it just after Christmas. And I want to say I finished it the week of, I used to watch The Bachelor. And so like it was January. She says in this book to like have a last glass of alcohol, have a cheers to the end or whatever it is. I saved this bottle of wine that I bought for a ridiculous amount of money over Christmas time. I was like, oh, I'm going to drink my fancy bottle of wine for my goodbye. And it was like the second or third week of January. I finished it on a Friday. And the second I read those last words of the book, I was just done. It was just gone. I had no desire to finish no desire to continue to drink. I did not want that bottle of wine. I ended up giving it to a coworker. I was like, here's the ridiculous fancy bottle of wine.
So you never had that last drink, like she even says to you? Really? No. Where were you at this point in your weight loss journey?
So I was only like a few months in. So after I quit drinking the alcohol, it started to fall off.
I'm sure.
I was already kind of getting there. I'd lost a little bit of weight. Go ahead.
How was that when you stopped drinking at home and your husband's still drinking? What challenges came up in that dynamic?
So I figured he would either come along or he wouldn't. So I was like, I'm just going to be a stand for this is just who I am now. Mm-hmm. Take it or leave it. We will, whatever happens, happens. So I was not drinking. I would still go to the bar with him on the weekends or whatever. Basically, I just sat there and drank soda water. And it made him uncomfortable enough. And then also just knowing that I was changing fundamentally and that through this change, either he was going to have to get on board or eventually I was not going to keep going down this road with him. So he, at the end of March, ended up reading the book.
So just 2 months after you?
About 3.5. Yeah. Yeah, because I finished like second week of January. I was done. And then February, 2.5 months. Something in there.
But not too long.
No, it wasn't too long. It was actually just after his birthday. He's like, I just want to I want to get through my birthday and then I'll go ahead and read the book. Mm. And he was reading the book and he was at work. So while I say reading, I was actually listening. So he's listening to the book and he's at work and she says something in there about working for a beer or working for that end of the day drink. So like you're basically you're working, but all you're doing is thinking about, okay, I want this to be over so I can go and have a drink. And he was exactly thinking that when she said it in the book. And he was just like, oh my gosh, I have a problem. Mm. And so once the book was done for him, he was done as well.
So how did this all change your trajectory about how you look at life going through this experience?
As far as how I look at life, I look at it more like as in nothing is like set in stone. Just because you are who you are today does not mean that's who you have to be tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I can do anything. I can be anything. I can change anything. We have this amazing organ inside of our head that just is capable of so much more than we really give it credit for.
Yeah. So you guys stopped drinking And what else is going on in your world? What led you to becoming business owners instead of employees?
So my husband actually has always been a business owner.
Okay.
He's been an employee only think like a few times. He's I call him serial entrepreneur. So he's owned a lot of businesses, got a lot of lessons, had some success, but at one point we had gone through so much in our journeys that Oregon no longer aligned with us anymore. So where we were at, because we had grown and we had developed ourselves so much that we looked at our lives and we're like, okay, we keep talking about how we want to live in the sunshine, and we keep talking about how we want to be warm and we want to have long summers, and there was all these things that we wanted for our lives and we just weren't living them. And so we've gone so far that we were just like, okay, now we have an opportunity. We can go ahead, we can sell our house, we can sell everything, and we can up and move if that's what we want to do. If we really want to go and live our dreams, now's the time to do it. So in that process, we had actually decided to go ahead and do a coffee because, well, we always were like drive by Dutch Brothers and all this stuff. And we're like, oh, if we could do it over, probably do some coffee. And when we were actually on this journey to come down here, we had originally were going to do coffee shops. And in the process of coming down here, we had passed through so many towns. And I was getting coffee every single morning. And because I was towing a trailer, I could not go through drive-thrus. And so I was having to stop and go into the lobby to get a coffee. And some of them, actually quite a few of them, had signs in their doors that said they're having staffing issues. And so the lobby is closed. You could only go through the drive-thru. And so that was a little bit, I was like, I'm not living it.
Shifts in the economy and how people are working.
Yes. And so that was a little bit of red flags as we're on our journey down there. And then I want to say it was like the last day or the day before, we were in West Texas, and I was like, I need some coffee. And so my husband found this coffee place. It used to be Longhorn and is now Free Reign Coffee. And we were like, hey, that's Rip from Yellowstone on this t-shirt. And we're like, what is going on here? And so we started talking to these people, and they're like, oh yeah, we're a roastery. We have this tiny little coffee shop, but mostly we're a roastery that sells online. I got in my car, he got in his car, and off we went.
Her wheels started spinning.
Oh yeah, both of us thinking, why are we just doing that? So why do we need to go and start with the coffee? Because we had actually had a consultation with somebody out of Washington that was, he owns quite a few coffee shops in Washington. And he was saying, it's great to do both, but start with one. And so originally we were like, oh, we can do roasting and we can do a coffee shop. And then with his expertise, he's like, that's a big undertaking. So just do one. We had decided to go with coffee shops. And then that free reign experience just was like, oh, no, we're changing paths. So as soon as we landed at our next stop, both of us were like, why don't we just do that? Yeah, so that's where kind of it all started. We had already started our research phase. So this is like early 2023 is when we started our research phase. Our move was in October. So in October, we had decided, okay, now we've decided to go with the roastery path, and just got to work on, I had to learn everything there was about roasting because I roast the coffee. So I dove into books. I did tons and tons of research. Any article I could find on roasting. Scott Rayo I read probably every single article he's written. I had his books, all of it. So I was well prepared before the roaster showed up. Actually like 8 months later.
There is so much more depth to how you're living life and the things that you believe are possible now versus what you believed were possible prior to 2017, right?
Correct. Yes.
So what are some of the things that you know are possible now that you did not believe were possible then?
One of the big things that I know is that challenges are going to come up. Challenges are going to face you in life. You're always going to have a dark night of the soul or a down season, whatever you want to call it. Those are always going to be a part of life. And through is the only way. If you keep that emotion and you keep that change. So things kind of change for a minute, right? Like you get this, like all these emotions that come up that are just like, you get wrecked. So you're dealing with sadness, you're dealing with anger, you're dealing with so many different things. And just don't let that fundamentally change you. Mm-hmm. Let it be part of a season, but you have to move on from it. You can't let it change your personality. You can't let it change who you are and who you can show up to be in this world. So bad things happen. And the way through that I have learned is learn what I need to learn from this experience and then move on and just be okay with it. And also regrets are just, they're terrible. They can haunt you for a very long time if you let them. They can haunt you for your life if you let them. But just understanding like that, for me, how I look at it is if there's something that I regret doing or just regret in general, I really think of it as would I do the same thing as the person that I am today? Because if the answer is no, then I can forgive that last version of me or the 2 versions of me before that did that thing or, created the situation. Mm-hmm. I can forgive her because she is no longer me.
Oh my gosh. We do that though. As we learn about things and we understand ourselves and we understand our patterns and we understand the things that have created the outcomes that we've experienced, we then hold it against ourselves. Though, why did we not behave differently? But the version of us that created that situation did not know what you know now. And it's going through that situation that causes you to go out and find the answers and to search for what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn in this. And it's so funny that I think a lot of people tend to do that, to hold against ourselves what we didn't know when we didn't know.
Yeah, so much of life is just understanding. You didn't know what you didn't know, so you move on or sit and suffer. That's your options.
Mm-hmm. What are some times in your life that you've sat in suffering?
Well, one of my biggest regrets is not being there for my nephew in his growing up. So my sister, when he was 3 years old, got into some pretty big trouble. She ended up not being a part of his life. And so his dad took over, and I was there to kind of help support. I then got in the relationship with my husband, and that was kind of all consuming for me. And also we were in a state where I just didn't want my nephew to be a part of that life, to watch our alcohol abuse, those things that I watched as a kid. I didn't want that to be a part of his life. And so I didn't show up. I wasn't there. And I should have been. Me today would do it completely differently. But I had to apologize to him for that. And I had to forgive myself. Because I did. I missed a lot.
And you today aren't the woman that you were then.
Oh, not even.
And I think you did that to protect him, because in that you weren't ready to look at it within yourself and change it. But you looked at it as your motive was to protect him, right? Your motive was good. Your motive was to help him prevent him from experiencing what you experienced, because deep down you thought, I don't want him to have the same life that I am now creating, because it's what I saw. We judge ourselves. We judge ourselves based on all these other things that were not even true at the time.
Yeah, and that probably is like my biggest regret.
Are you close to him now?
We've gotten closer. He's in college now, so he's a busy young adult.
What happens?
And I'm just so proud of who he's become.
And you feel that you're showing up in the world in a way that is inspiring to him as well, or at least is a good model.
Yes.
And that has to feel so good.
It does. It feels really good. I think that he knows that I'm here if he needs anything. I'm here to support him. I'm here to love him. And just being ADHD, one thing that I very, very much have is a huge time blindness.
Yeah.
So when I really think about him as a little kid, it's the same as seeing him, last year run his first race in track for college. It's the exact, I have the time there doesn't it doesn't change. It doesn't say okay, well, when he was 3, that was a gazillion years ago, and now he's 17 for whatever reason that I'm just completely blind to the time. So something that happened yesterday it feels exactly the same as something that happened 10 years ago.
It's so interesting. I think ADHD is so interesting. I've learned a lot about it recently. I know about you that you were diagnosed dyslexic. What age were you diagnosed?
So I was in middle school. I think it must have been, I feel like it was either 6th or 7th grade. So how it came about was I was actually in class reading my book upside down. So I can read pretty well upside down. So if someone gives us a menu, I can read it. Good. You can have the menu. I'll read it upside down.
Wow.
But I was reading my book upside down, and the teacher thought I was mocking her. And so I got a detention for reading my book upside down.
Oh, and no.
When my mom was like, why did you get a detention? I was like, well, I was reading my book upside down. I don't know why. She just said I was mocking her. And I just didn't think anything of it. I was just I'm just confused. I don't know. And so come to find out, well, I'm dyslexic. And so my parents actually took me out of school for a little bit to go through some training. We had looked at a private school that we couldn't afford. So eventually, after my mom did some work with me, I went back to public school. And honestly, I just didn't really know how to deal with me. I didn't know much about dyslexia. It was small town Oregon. They really just didn't know anything.
What was the message that you received as a kid going through that experience?
I received the message that I was stupid and that I was not I was not capable of being in class with everyone else.
How did that shape you?
That one probably is one of the most damaging things that really stuck with me. And it stuck with me until I gained some confidence in myself through a little bit of that self-development. Honestly, it was like 35 years old was when I finally was like, oh, I'm actually smarter than anyone has ever given me credit for.
Even yourself. That's
Correct.
right.
Yes. Yeah. So just out of high school, I was completely lost. I had no idea what I was going to do. I'd gone from school that was basically had me in special education classes and I didn't have to learn a language. Everyone else had to learn a language to graduate high school. Like they just basically took the bar and brought it down here and said, yeah, you only have to do this minimum stuff.
You're not capable.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, you're not capable of doing the requirements to graduate. So we're just going to bring the bar down here so you graduate.
And you were capable and incredibly intelligent. And that creates so much shame, I would imagine.
Yes. Shame and confusion. So where that really got confusing is after high school. One, I've basically been told I was stupid. And two, everyone had been telling me my whole life what to do next. And I got
no one thought you could make any of those decisions on your own.
I don't know that they thought that I couldn't. I'm not. It's hard because you don't know, like your parents just want the best for you, right? I had very loving parents. Like my parents loved us kids like something fierce. But they didn't love to see me struggle. They didn't like to see any of that. And I was also very quiet. So I was asking my mom about this once I'd learned about neurodivergence, because I was like, how was I as a kid? Like, did I talk a lot? She's like, oh no. She goes, we pretty much knew if you said something, we were going to listen because it's important. You basically never said anything until you needed to.
All through your childhood? All growing up? Or okay.
Yeah. So then so basically just being told what to do next, all the steps of life was handled for me until I turned 18. And then they're like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, what should I do? I have no idea. And so I went to beauty school. I dropped out of beauty school. I moved on to, I did the Air Force for about a minute and I got injured. I said, I want to go home. I want a civilian doctor. And they said, okay, fine, get out. And then from there, I went and I tried retail sales. I went and went to my uncle's auto body shop, got a receptionist job there. When that sold, then the new owner was like, well, your talents are being wasted up here on the phones. He's like, I want you to go and be an estimator. So I went and did some estimating school. So I was auto body estimator for a little while. It was a lot of work. It was more stress than anything else. So I was in a very Russian community. And the men would come in and they would take one look at me and they're like, you're going to tell me what my car is going to be? No, I want him. I was like, okay. And then you'd get the phone calls like, okay, well, my car's not done. And, you said it would be done or whatever. It's just auto body. So it was a lot of work, a lot of hours, I guess, not necessarily the work part. It's the hours. It was like 60 hours a week. And it was extremely stressful. People are constantly just yelling at you about their cars. And my roommate at the time was working as a dental assistant, and she came home every single day happy. And I was like, well, whatever that is, I want that. So I took back my hours at the auto body shop. I went to dental assisting school and graduated from that. The teacher actually, she called me just after, was like, hey, I'm leaving. Would you be the new dental assisting teacher? I'm like, I just started working. So she saw some potential in me.
Yeah.
But I was still like, I graduated from that with straight A's, and, I felt a little bit better, but not necessarily better. I didn't feel, I felt pretty smart for graduating dental assisting school with straight A's, but it didn't really change anything fundamentally. I struggled a lot. I actually got addicted to pain pills. So I was having some stomach issues, and they put me on some Oxy, and it was just on from there.
So you went through that. So when was that in comparison to when you stopped drinking alcohol?
So I stopped drinking alcohol in 2019. The Oxy was like early 2000s.
Oh, okay. So almost a decade earlier. And then how did you get past that addiction?
I actually lost my job. So I had gotten to a point, it was pretty bad. It was to a point where I could no longer, like, the amount that they were giving me was not enough to keep me level and sustained. Because when you're on something like that, your body just gets used to it, and then you just need more and more and more. And so I had gotten to a point where they were just like, we can't give you any more. And so I was going through a lot of withdrawals. I was missing a lot of work. And so they ended up firing me. And I was like, okay, well, that's as far down as I go. So I stopped cold turkey. Probably should have gone into a clinic. I don't recommend this. Basically laid in a bed at my parents' house for almost a whole month, going through withdrawals, eating chocolate when I could, and just it's a feeling I will never forget.
And that probably played a part in the weight gain.
I'd always struggled.
How much of that was tied to your emotional state and what you believed about yourself?
Probably a lot. Honestly, I think that weight gain really is often tied to how we really feel, and how we really feel about not necessarily always ourselves, but often ourselves, but maybe about the situation that we're in. I think that weight gain is very much an emotional game.
Because now, how long have you not struggled with weight?
I really dropped it all off, I think, by 2020 is really when it all just kind of disappeared. I'd lost about 100 pounds, and I've gained back maybe like 5 or 10 pounds here and there. Just like when we moved here, we were eating out every single day. So for almost a month, it was just eating out. So I gained like 10 pounds, but
it wasn't an emotional thing. It was, you just were enjoying life. And then you could realize, okay, we need to change some patterns here, change some habits, and dial it back in.
Yes.
And not have it be something that was a major change you needed to make.
Mm-hmm.
So you've overcome, well, you've grown to understand that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, even though you have dyslexia. It's probably a gift.
Yes.
I believe that neurodivergence is a gift. You've lost 100 pounds and kept it off now for the last 5 years. You've overcome substance abuse, multiple substance abuse situations.
Yes.
Every one of those experiences is a huge life experience to go through and then be able to come to this point in your life where you know it doesn't define me. And then let's add on top of that what you've learned about your dad.
Okay. So, thankfully, at this point in life, so this was 2019, was a probably one of the best and worst years. I quit drinking alcohol. I got into the summer of 2019 and I thought, you know what? It'll be fun to do this. It was a Groupon. 23andMe was on Groupon. So I was like, you know what? It's really cheap. I'm just going to do this thing. It'll be fun. My little brother did it. I just wanted to see what there was to see. Well, here's your warning. Your dad may not be your dad. So come to find out, I didn't notice right away just because I was like, I wasn't really looking at who I matched with.
Because your little brothers came back. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So when I looked at the results at the very beginning, I was just like, I was more looking at like, what kind of thing was I? Like, what kind of mixed puppy was this lady? So
I want to know about myself. Where am I? What am I?
yes. So, I was looking at those things. I wasn't really looking at like who I matched with. And so I hadn't really thought much about it until I had gone to meet my sister and realized that she had also done the same thing. And so I was like, okay, well, we didn't match. So I need to dig into this a little bit more. And then I actually looked at who I did match with and found out that there was these first cousins I didn't even notice before. Or maybe my brain was blocking them out. I'm not sure.
How much time passed between when you got the test results and when you discovered, oh, wait.
Probably about 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So honestly, I just was like, oh, okay. I looked at the results that I wanted to see. And I didn't look at anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so dug into it a little bit more and ended up messaging this one of the people who I matched with as first cousin. Because I was like, okay, well, what? Like, this obviously means that I am like they're a cousin of mine, and so I don't know them. So let's, I guess, figure this out. The last name was also a little bit of a flag for me because one of my father's friends had the same last name.
Was it his first name?
So
the last name of the cousins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was a little suspicious at that point of like, who was this guy? So I ended up meeting with my cousin. And she had basically, she brought all of these like family photos and all this stuff, basically like, here's everything. It felt like, here's everything that you've missed in this whole growing up. Like they would go on vacation, like every single summer they would do a family vacation. And it just was like they spent so much time together, and they were also, they all seemed very close. So it was a little bit awkward and shocking to kind of find out that the man who had raised me as his daughter just was, I knew at that point, like, he's not my dad. Like, he's my dad because he raised me, but he wasn't, like, I wasn't biologically from him. And so then I ended up meeting my actual biological father, who was friends with my dad back when they were younger. So at the time of my conception, they were friends.
Interesting.
So, yes.
You learn this. This is a lot to learn. And then how long is it before your stepdad's health started declining?
So I actually met with, let's see, there was end of summer was when I found out, and then I met with my biological father just like about a month later. And then I want to say it's probably like about a month after that is when I found out that my dad, who is my stepdad, who's been my dad since I was 3 years old, had stage 4 cancer. He was given 6 months to live, and the rapid decline started very, very quickly. He, so his, like the calcium in his bones was actually getting into his bloodstream and getting into his brain, and causing severe pain. He could basically make like moaning, groaning noises, but he could barely talk. Sometimes was better than others, and often it would be more of just kind of like a mumbly talk. Like a couple of days before he died, it was just him and I in the room, and he's just like, "I'm your daddy." Ugh. Sorry. But his decline was extremely fast.
So he was not talking and then he was able to talk right at the end?
So he was able to just say, like, randomly, he would just say like some things.
So it was almost like Alzheimer's, where like there'd be little moments where they'd come back.
Yeah. But he wasn't like fully back. It was just kind of like this. He would say the same thing over and over again. But the pain that he was in, I'm glad it went fairly quickly. Just because I couldn't imagine him having to go through that for 6 months. But I think from the time that we found out to when he passed, it was probably about 6 weeks. So I went from identity crisis to losing my daddy fairly quickly.
So it puts I don't want to say problems, but the things that we're dealing with into an entirely different perspective when you experience that. So, and this is 2019. This is the year that you stopped drinking alcohol. I wonder how any of this might have been if you hadn't already had the change of letting go of alcohol. How do you think?
Honestly, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful that that book came at me when it did, because I would have drowned myself. Like, I don't even want to think about. But it was a very challenging time in life. And I think had I been drinking, that would have just gotten much worse.
Since he has passed, how has all of this changed the trajectory of your life?
A few things that I've really kind of just taken from that year are, one, I was given the life that I was given for a purpose and for a reason. This wasn't, I was given these challenges. I was given this, this life for sharing it, for letting people know that, life can be hard. But on the other side of the hard is just beautiful.
It can still be beautiful.
But you have to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Were there times where you avoided going through it?
It all just happened so fast, honestly, that I didn't really, like, it was like my head was spinning, and I just knew like I knew I was going to be okay, but I just knew that I just had to keep stepping forward. And I had to let the sadness go and more just be grateful that I got what I got.
Mm-hmm. Instead of, I wish I had gotten this other life, I actually got the exact life I was meant to have.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see the impact that you get to make now for others because of the life that you've been blessed to live so far?
I think that just by sharing my experience and sharing that I've gone through a lot, everything is better on the other side. The amount that I have grown from my trials, or from the harsh realities of life sometimes, is beautiful. It's beautiful who I've become on the other side, and it's beautiful who I get to continue to become every single day.
Yeah, who's the Crystal that the world gets to see now every single day?
As Crystal today is pretty consumed by work right now.
Launching a new business, that's you.
Yeah, so launching a new business, but I get to go out there and I get to be with people, and I get to, share with them something that I've created, and share my excitement for this coffee that we've created. And then also, I'm working on getting started on a blog to tell my story, to hopefully help those who maybe have had similar situations in life and are having a hard time. There's my best companions through my downtimes have been books. And coming from a dyslexic kid, I recommend listening. Audible is amazing. But really, anything is overcomable, and there is, whatever it is, whatever you're trying to do, there's books on it. Somebody's already been through it. Somebody's already experienced it. Somebody's felt how you feel, that you're not alone. And it's all just tools that you just don't have yet. And I just want to be here to help people find the tools.
And that's beautiful. I think that one of the things that's so important is to know that most of the time, anything that we're doing in the world that's less than ideal, it's because we don't have the tools. The people around us don't have the tools. It is very few people in the world are out to actually be intentionally hurtful in anything that they do. It's, for the most part, most people are operating to the best of their ability based on everything that they know and all of the tools that they've been given up to that point. I just am so in awe of you, honestly. I think there's so much more to your story. I know there's more to your story. There's things we still haven't even tapped into. And I know that all of those experiences are meant for you to make a much bigger impact than anyone can that hasn't walked the walk that you've walked. So I honor it, and I'm so thankful that you've shared it. I know this is one of the first times that you've openly shared some of these things. So where can people find you?
So I just got back on Instagram. So crystal.skyrocket on Instagram. You can follow my coffee company at, I think it's Skyrocket Coffee. Coffee Instagram.
That just shows how much you're so here for such a way bigger purpose than just to promote your business or sell coffee. Your heart is so beautiful.
Thank you. So you can find you can find the social media on skyrocketcoffee.com. So that is going to be our website. We are going to be doing a revamp on our website too, so you can see basically really a little bit more in depth about what it is we're actually doing, what we're about. That is in the works. And then I will be announcing on social media when my blog starts. So, but that's where I'm starting. So I'm starting with the blog, and I don't know where it's going to go from there, but I'm excited to see how and where this brings me.
I see a book in your future.
I know there's one. There's one in me. I just don't know when.
It's there. It's coming. Well, thank you for spending your day. I really appreciate this time, and I look forward to cheering you on.
Thank you.
Oof. If you're anything like me, you're walking away from that conversation with chills and a deep sense of awe. Crystal's journey is a beautiful reminder that we can rewrite our story at any moment, that nothing is wasted, and even our darkest seasons can lead to the brightest impact. From letting go of alcohol to letting go of shame, from being told that she wasn't smart enough to now running her own business. Crystal is a living, breathing example of what's possible when we choose healing over hiding. If her story moved you today, reach out and let her know. You can find her on Instagram at crystal.skyrocket or follow her journey and her incredible coffee business at skyrocket.com. Crystal, thank you for being brave enough to share your truth with us. And to those of you listening, if today lit a fire in your heart, maybe it's time to ask, what part of your story is ready to be transformed into purpose? I'm cheering you on always. Until next time, keep rising, keep healing, and keep living boldly in your purpose.